Welcome back to ABC24 This Week. I am Richard Ransom, and along with Susan Adler-Thorpe, political consultant, we also have joined with us Chris Tudor, the former chairman of the Shelby County GOP, and Reverend Kenneth Whalen, pastor of New Olivet Worship Center. Let's talk about the developments late this week with Wanda Halbert, the Shelby County clerk, who's been in all kinds of public ire for quite some time with all the delays and long lines and folks getting their cars registered, which should be a fairly simple transaction. It proved not to be the case. So now we hear this week that DA Steve Mulroy has asked for a special prosecutor, an independent DA, this one will be chosen from Hamilton County, to come in and investigate Clerk Halbert and look for kind of whether there's any malfeasance going, any wrongdoing that might lead to her ouster from office. And they're being very blunt about that, at least the chancellor, the judge who has the case. So Susan, as the fellow reporter here in this group, what are your thoughts about what's really going on and how much trouble is she in?
Well, she could be in a lot of trouble, and that concerns me when DA Mulroy calls in a special prosecutor. He's not doing that blindly. He has heard what's going on. He has studied what's going on. He's been presented with probably factual evidence, and he's calling in the special prosecutor, and that concerns me a lot for Wanda. You know, she, as we were talking earlier, she's been elected and reelected over and over again by the people, but she was elected to positions, legislative positions like on the council and school board, where she could say something off kilter, but it would be lost in the conversation with other people.
You weren't running an office that every single car owner or basically citizen depends on.
Now she sits on a pile of public money, and she's got to run this office, and everybody in this community has a car, is affected by it. And I think that the troubles that she's trying to get herself, that she's gotten herself into, has come to the top.
I'll ask the same question of you, Chris. As the only lawyer here at the table, how much trouble is she in?
So my understanding is that this doesn't happen too often. It's pursuant to a state law. There's different pathways to what's called an ouster, but this is one of those pathways. And again, my general understanding is that this prosecutor from Chattanooga has been brought in who will do an investigation and determine if they can prove a case. And I think the threshold is maybe willful neglect or something like that. If that's the case, they will then bring it, and it will almost be like a trial to determine whether or not she's kind of met that threshold, and whether or not she'll be removed.
Is that a high threshold?
I think it's clear and convincing evidence. Don't hold me to that. I'm not that kind of lawyer, but my understanding is going to be more of a trial-like situation here. But this has been a long time coming. People have been calling for this. It's very difficult to do recalls in this state because you have to get 15%. Don't want to go into all that, but it's very difficult, very expensive. It's really, frankly, I'm a little surprised that it's taken this long to get the ouster. I think, you know, remains to be seen what happens. We don't want to presume someone's guilt, even though this is technically not criminal, but we don't want to presume that, and certainly the investigation will be done. But this has been a long time coming. You've had people calling for it for a long time. I think especially Commissioner McWright, he's been vindicated here. He's been calling for it for some time, and it looks like they finally moved on it.
So Reverend Whalen, you know, someone who's probably watching developments in the clerk's office very closely is the county mayor, who got his wheel tax that he had been pushing for, the increase from $50 to $75 per car, and it's basically to provide debt service for three big projects, Regional One Health and two schools, high schools, one in Fraser and one in Cordova. And I want to hear from Mayor Harris first here, because we asked him about the position of some viewers we've heard from who said, look, I'm not happy about the wheel tax I've been paying. Try to convince me that this money's safe that you're asking for and it's not going to be mismanaged. Here is what the county mayor had to say.
I would tell her, I'd tell anybody that, these are hard votes. It's not easy, right? I wish there was magic money to be found somewhere, but there is not. I need hard cash. I can't ask the governor of Mississippi to pay for stuff in Midtown Memphis. I can't ask the governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee, to pay for stuff in Midtown Memphis. We're the owners of Regional One. We have a responsibility to make sure that it's around for the next generation. And so, I've been making the case for the last several months. I think the vast majority of the public agrees, and we're going to get this done.
Does the vast majority of the public agree, do you think?
I think so, and I agree with him that he can't get the governors of Mississippi or Arkansas to pay their. Be clear, the Regional One gives excellent care to residents of Arkansas and Mississippi.
To everyone they see. Yep.
It would be great if they would pay their fair share, but the mayor's right. Now, I was intrigued with the ease with which this particular, it was almost like a rider, an attachment to the budget. Oh, by the way, what would you like? Harris says, what would you like? And Mick says, well, can we get a special prosecutor for Wanda Halbert? Oh, no problem. Well, that was weird. It's unfortunate.
You think it was coincidental?
Yeah, who am I? No.
Very good. Susan, what are your thoughts about the wheel tax? You said it's not a politically popular thing to pass, but that seemed like when they were confronted with that or a property tax increase, that was the wheel tax is the one that won out.
Well, there was one holdout vote, and you know, it is a toxic tax. People just don't like that tax and haven't liked it from the very beginning. But it is what it is. It passed, $25 per car, and obviously there was some behind-the-scenes wheeling and dealing, and Wanda Halbert got caught in the middle of it, and so we've got a wheel tax, and Mick Wright has his request to have her investigate.
One more thing. Every time this would come up over the previous months, Wanda would make these statements, these vague statements about, well, if everybody knew what was really going on in the mayor's office and in the county commission, they'd see, well, now she's going to get her chance to make good those threats.
Yeah, good point. So the mayor also made a point in another soundbite that we don't have able to show you, but he made the point, look, it's only $2 a month. And I know customers are not happy about any kind, or taxpayers about any kind of tax increase. But for what we're supposedly getting from this in terms of the financing, initial financing for the new Regional 1 and 2 high schools, I don't know, as a taxpayer, $2 a month per car, it doesn't bother me a whole lot.
Sure. Yeah, I guess maybe the 3 parts to my response. One, I think it's great that we're funding this, right? And I understand with the med funding, this enables us to go get funds from the state and the federal government, so we had to do it. But a couple things bother me. One, the wheel tax is regressive. It affects the poor people in this community disproportionately. And the last thing I'll say is, maybe I missed it. I could have missed it. But where were the discussions about maybe trying to cut a little bit? I think Mayor Harris did a good job. I think he played it well. But I would have liked to see some conversations about tightening the belt a little bit, and I don't know if those were ever had, to be frank with you.
Well, I have to say that if I have to pay $2 extra a month, and fortunately I can do that, I am glad to see that it goes in large part to the med,
That's
to
right.
the Regional 1. It is a hospital that disproportionately is used by people with lesser means in our community, but it is important, and if, again, I've said it before, if we are to be a good and righteous community, we have to help to take care in a quality way the people who can't take care of themselves.
I totally agree with that.
I forget his name, he's not on the county commission anymore, but he said, man, if I get shot, there's no other place I'd rather be. Yeah. And honestly, they do such a great job.
That could
They
happen
really do.
these days.
And, right, and nobody's guaranteed that they're not going to end up there somehow. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about not only Memphis-Shelby County Schools, but we're also going to talk about MLGW, both entities dealing with some controversy this week in just a moment.